He built an empire from the ground up, a ruthless CEO known for his ice-cold decisions and billion-dollar deals. But one late night, everything changed. We opened the bathroom door of his 60th floor office and saw her, a cleaning lady, curled up, asleep on the toilet. He froze, not from disgust, not from anger, but from something he hadn't felt in years: compassion, curiosity, and, believe it or not, love. Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the channel where true life meets jaw-dropping twists you'd swear were fiction. Today's story is one you won't forget. Millionaire CEO freezes when he sees a cleaning lady sleeping on the toilet and falls madly in love. It's raw, it's unexpected, and it proves that love doesn't always arrive in a limousine. Sometimes it shows up with a mop bucket and a worn-out uniform. So before we dive into this unbelievable journey of heart, humility, and an unlikely romance that shook an entire corporation, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell, and share this with someone who still believes in love where you least expect it. And hey, thanks for being here. We got so many more incredible stories to share. But first, let's find out how one powerful CEO's heart was changed forever. Stick around. You won't want to miss a second. Billionaire CEO Derek Hale had everything except happiness. But when he found Alina Brooks, a cleaning lady, asleep in a janitor's closet, his world shifted. She was hard-working, proud, and completely unimpressed by his wealth. He was intrigued. Could love bridge the gap between their worlds? The lights of Chicago City sparkled against the night sky as Derek Hale stood at the window of his penthouse office. At 45, he had everything a man could want: a billion-dollar company, respect in the business world, and more money than he could spend in a lifetime. But tonight, like most nights, he felt empty. "Mr. Kingston, the board is waiting for you." In the conference room, his assistant Margaret said from the doorway. Derek straightened his tie and nodded. "Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes. Also, Mr. Kingston, don't forget about the charity gala tomorrow night. Your mother called twice to remind you." Derek sighed. Another event where he'd be paraded around as Chicago's most eligible bachelor. At his age, he was tired of the games, tired of women who only saw his bank account. "Fine, tell my mother. I'll be there." The board meeting dragged on for hours. Budget cuts, quarterly projections, and expansion plans. By the time it ended, it was nearly midnight, and Derek was the last one left in the building, or so he thought. His head pounded as he loosened his tie and walked down the empty hallway toward the executive restroom. All he wanted was to splash some cold water on his face before heading home to his empty penthouse. When he pushed open the door, the lights were dimmed. Strange, he thought. The cleaning staff usually kept them on. As he moved toward the sink, he heard a soft sound coming from the janitor's closet. The door was slightly ajar. Derek frowned. Security should have checked the building. Cautiously, he approached the closet and pulled the door open. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. A woman was asleep on a small stool, her head resting against the wall. She wore the standard blue uniform of the cleaning company, but even in the dim light, he could see she was beautiful. Her dark curls framed her face with high cheekbones, and her long eyelashes fluttered slightly as she dreamed. For a moment, Derek just stared, unsure what to do. Then her eyes opened. The second she saw him standing there in his thousand suit, she jumped up, knocking over a bottle of cleaning solution. "Sir, I'm so sorry," she gasped, her eyes wide with panic. "I just sat down. For a minute. I didn't mean to fall asleep." "It's okay," Derek said, holding up a hand. He'd never seen someone look so terrified of him. "Are you all right?" The woman quickly gathered her cleaning supplies, hands shaking. "Please, I need this job. I have bills to pay." "I can't." "I'm not going to fire you," Derek interrupted. "What's your name?" She hesitated as if weighing whether to trust him. Alina Brooks." "Alina," he repeated, the name feeling foreign on his tongue. "Why are you sleeping here?" Don't you have somewhere to go? Her shoulders slumped. Slightly. My shift ends at 1 a.m. The next bus to my neighborhood doesn't run until 5 o'clock. It's not worth going home, just to come back from my other job at 8 o'clock. Other job? I clean offices here at night, and I work at a coffee shop during the day, she explained, still looking like she expected him to call security. Any moment. Derek checked his watch. It was 12:30 a.m. You haven't finished your shift. No, sir. I still have the executive floor to do. That's this floor, Derek said. My floor? Alina nodded, looking down at her shoes. I know who you are, Mr. Kingston. Derek was surprised. Most people knew his name, but something in the way she said it was different. There was no admiration or fear, just acknowledgement. Well, don't let me stop you, he said, stepping back. Finish your work. But Alina, yes, don't sleep in closets anymore. It's not safe. She gave him a small smile that transformed her tired face. I don't make a habit of it, Mr. Kingston. As she wheeled her cleaning cart past him, Derek caught a whiff of something. Sweet, not perfume, but something simpler like soap or shampoo. It was oddly comforting. Instead of leaving, he returned to his office and sat at his desk, pretending to work while he listened to the sounds of Alina cleaning. Every now and then, he'd glance up to see her through the glass walls, diligently wiping surfaces, emptying trash cans and vacuuming. There was something graceful about the way she moved, something dignified. This woman who worked 2 jobs and slept in closets carried herself with more self-respect than most of the socialites. He knew. When she reached his office, Alina knocked lightly. Come in. Derek called. I need to clean in here if that's okay, she said, her voice soft but not meek. Of course. He gathered some papers, making room for her. I'm just finishing up. She worked quickly and efficiently, but Derek noticed her glancing at the family photo on his desk. My parents, he explained, and my sister Sabrina. Alina nodded. You look like your father. So everyone tells me. He leaned back in his chair. Do you have family in the city, Alina? She hesitated as if amused the bosses making small talk. My grandmother, I take care of her. She raised me after my parents died. I'm sorry to hear that. Alina shrugged, moving to dust the bookshelves. It was a long time ago car accident when I was 10. Derek watched as she reached up to dust a high shelf, noticing the grace in her movements despite her obvious exhaustion. How long have you been working 2 jobs? And he asked, 3 years now. She finished with the shelves and moved to the trash can. Ever since Grandma got sick, medical bills. You know, Derek didn't know in theory. He owned part of a healthcare company after all, but he'd never had to worry about paying a bill in his life. What's wrong with your grandmother? He found himself asking Parkinson's. She needs special care now. Alina glanced at him, a flash of defensiveness in her eyes. I'm at a night school, too. When I can, working on my business degree. Derek was impressed despite himself. That's quite a workload. We do what we have to do. She finished with his office and moved toward the door. All done, Mr. Kingston. Have a good night. On impulse, he stood up. Let me drive you home. Alina froze, her hand on the door handle. Excuse me, it's late, and you said the bus doesn't come until 5. Let me drive you home. She looked at him wearily. That's not necessary. I insist, Derek said, already grabbing his coat. It's the least I can do for someone who works this hard. Alina hesitated, and Derek could see the calculation in her eyes, weighing the risk of getting into a car with a man she barely knew against hours of waiting. In a cold bus station. I need to clock out and return my cart, she finally said. I'll meet you in the parking garage, space 1. 20 minutes later, Alina approached his car, a sleek black Mercedes. Looking nervous but determined, she had changed into jeans and a simple sweater, her cleaning uniform presumably packed in the small backpack she carried. Nice car, she said, as she slid into the passenger seat, her voice tinged with irony. "Where to?" Derek asked, ignoring her tone. "Bridgeport, South Side." She gave him an address that was indeed at least an hour away by public transport. They drove in silence for a while, the late-night traffic light. As they crossed the bridge into South Side, Derek glanced over occasionally, noticing how Alina sat with her back straight, hands folded in her lap, as if afraid to touch anything in his expensive car. "How long have you worked for Kingston Enterprises?" he asked, breaking the silence. "The cleaning company has had the contract for 2 years. I've been on the night crew the whole time, and I've never noticed you before," Derek murmured, more to himself than to her. Alina looked over at him, her expression unreadable in the dim light. "Why would you? I'm just a cleaning lady." Her words hit him harder than they should have. She was right. How many people worked in his building keeping it running, whom he never even looked at? "Well, I noticed you tonight," he said quietly. Alina didn't respond, just looked out the window as they drove through the darkened streets of South Side, away from the gleaming towers of downtown Chicago. When they reached her neighborhood, Derek could see why she was reluctant to come home late at night. The streets were poorly lit, and several storefronts were boarded up. Her building was an old brownstone divided into apartments with peeling paint on the front steps. He pulled up to the curb. "Let me walk you to your door." "That's really not please. Alina, it's late." She sighed but nodded, and he followed her up the cracked concrete steps to the front door. She unlocked it and turned to face him. "Thank you for the ride, Mr. Kingston." "Derek," he corrected. "Call me Derek." She gave him a small smile. "Thank you, Derek. Good night." "Wait," he said as she started to turn away. "Will you be at work tomorrow night?" "Every night except Sundays." Derek nodded, suddenly feeling awkward. "We'll get some rest." "You too," she said, and then she was gone, the door closing behind her. As Derek drove back to downtown Chicago to his penthouse with its panoramic views and designer furniture, he couldn't stop thinking about Alina, about the dignity with which she carried her difficult life, about the way she'd looked at him, not as Derek Hale, billionaire CEO, but just as a man. It had been a long time since anyone had seen him that way. The next morning, Derek surprised his assistant by asking for the contract information for the cleaning company. By lunchtime, he had arranged for a company car to pick up Alina after her shift and drive her home every night. When Margaret questioned this unusual request, Derek simply said, "It's a safety issue. I don't want our staff waiting for buses in the middle of the night." But as he prepared for the charity gala that evening, adjusting his bow tie in the mirror, he knew it was more than that. For the first time in years, he was looking forward to going back to the office late tonight. Maybe, just maybe, he would run into Alina again. What he didn't know was that his sister Sabrina had been watching his unusual behavior all day. As they rode to the gala together in his limousine, she studied him with narrowed eyes. "You seem different today, Nate. What's going on?" "Nothing," he said, avoiding her gaze. "Just a busy day." Sabrina, who had always been able to read him like a book, wasn't convinced. "Does this have something to do with that cleaning company contract you had Margaret pull?" Derek glanced at her sharply. "That was a simple business matter." "MHM?" Sabrina hummed skeptically. "You never concern yourself with simple business matters. That's what you pay people for." Before he could respond, the limousine pulled up to the red carpet. Cameras flashed as they stepped out. Chicago's elite business siblings arriving at one of the season's most prestigious events. But even as Derek shook hands and posed for photos, his mind was back in that dimly lit bathroom where he'd found Alina sleeping. And for the first time in his carefully controlled life, Derek Hale didn't know what would happen next. The charity gala was in full swing, a sea of designer dresses and tuxedos filling the grand ballroom of the Drake Hotel. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead as Chicago's elite mingled, sipping champagne and discussing the latest mergers and acquisitions. Derek Hale stood alone by the bar, watching the crowd. These events had always bored him, but tonight he found himself particularly disconnected from the glittering scene. Before him, there you are, a sultry voice said behind him. Derek turned to see Catherine Reynolds, the daughter of one of his business associates. She was stunning in a red gown that left little to the imagination, her blonde hair styled perfectly. Catherine, he acknowledged with a nod. You look lovely and you look distracted, she replied, moving closer. I've been trying to catch your eye all evening. Derek forced a smile. Sorry, I have a lot on my mind. Business never sleeps. All work and no play makes Derek a dull boy, she teased, placing a manicured hand on his arm. Maybe I can help take your mind off work. Before Derek could respond, his sister Sabrina appeared at his side, elegant in a blue gown. Catherine, darling, Sabrina said with a tight smile. I believe your father was looking for you. Catherine's smile faltered, but she nodded. I'll find you later, Derek. As she walked away, Sabrina turned to her brother. She's hunting for husband number 3, and your bank account makes you prime prey. I can handle Catherine Reynolds, Derek said dryly. Can you? You've been staring into space all night. Sabrina studied him. What's going on with you? Derek sighed. There was no point hiding things from Sabrina. She knew him too well. I met someone. Sabrina's eyebrows shot up. Well, this is news. Who is she? Someone here tonight. No, Derek said, looking away. It's complicated. Nate, don't tell me she's married. No, nothing like that. He took a sip of his whiskey. She works for me, Sabrina frowned. An employee? That's playing with fire, especially these days. It's not what you think. He paused, unsure how to explain. She's different. Different how? Derek thought about Alina, about the quiet dignity in her eyes, despite her exhaustion. Real? He finally said, she's real. Sabrina looked skeptical, but was prevented from pressing further when their mother approached. Regal in a classic black gown. They're my children, Margot Hale said, air kissing both their cheeks. To Derek, darling, you haven't said hello to the Blackwells yet. Their daughter just returned from Europe, and she's absolutely dying to meet you. Derek suppressed a groan. Mother, I'm not interested in being set up. Margot's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened slightly. It's not about interest, dear. It's about connections. The Blackwells own half the real estate in Boston, and we've been trying to expand there for years. So, acquire their company, Derek said flatly. Don't try to marry me off to achieve it. Derek, his mother hissed. Keep your voice down. Sabrina stepped in smoothly. Mother, I need your opinion on something. The foundation is considering 2 new charities for next year's gala, and I value your input. As Sabrina led their mother away, she shot Derek a look that clearly said, You owe me. Derek finished his drink and checked his watch. It was just after 11 p.m. If he left now, he could be back at the office by 11:30, while Alina would still be working, making his decision. He quietly slipped out of the ballroom, ignoring Catherine's attempts to catch his eye. Outside, he instructed his driver to take him to Kingston Enterprises. The office building was quiet when he arrived, just a few security guards on duty. Derek nodded to them as he passed, taking the elevator up to the executive floor. As the doors opened, he heard the soft hum of a vacuum cleaner. Alina was there, focused on her work. She tied her hair back with a bandana, and her uniform sleeves were rolled up as she guided the vacuum across the carpet. She didn't notice him at first, and Derek took a moment just to watch her. When she turned and saw him, she jumped slightly, then quickly switched off the vacuum. Mr. Kingston, she said, looking surprised. You're back late. Derek, he reminded her. And yes, I had an event, but I needed to pick up some files. It was a transparent excuse, and from the slight raise of her eyebrow, Alina knew it. The car service called me, she said. Thank you for arranging that, but it's not necessary. I disagree. Derek said, stepping closer. No one should have to wait hours for a bus in the middle of the night. I should have thought of it sooner for all the night stuff. Alina studied him, clearly unsure what to make of his attention. Well, I appreciate it, but I don't want special treatment. It's not special. Treatment. He paused. It's the right thing to do. Alina smiled then, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. That's nice to hear from a CEO. Most of the ones I clean for don't even know we exist. I'm learning that I've been. Derek searched for the right word. Blind to a lot of things. And awkward. Silence fell between them. Alina shifted her weight from one foot to the other. I should get back to work, she said finally. I still have 2 more floors to clean. Let me help you, Derek said impulsively. Alina laughed, thinking he was joking, but when his expression remained serious, her laughter faded. You want to help me? Clean? Why not? Because you're wearing a tuxedo that probably costs more than I make in 3 months, she suggested, gesturing to his outfit. Derek looked down at himself and chuckled. Fair point, but I can at least keep you company. Alina hesitated, then nodded. All right, but don't blame me if the other cleaners start gossiping about the boss, following me around. As she went back to vacuuming, Derek removed his jacket and bow tie, draping them over a chair. He rolled up his sleeves and picked up a duster from her cart. What are you doing? Alina asked, eyes wide. Helping, Derek said simply and began dusting the bookshelves along the wall. For a moment, Alina just stared at him, then burst out laughing. You're doing it all wrong, she said, coming over to him. Here, like this. She demonstrated the proper technique, her movements efficient and practiced. Derek tried to copy her, feeling strangely pleased when she nodded in approval. For the next hour, they worked together, Alina showing him how to properly clean various surfaces, both of them laughing at his clumsy attempts. How long have you been the CEO? Alina asked as they moved to the next floor. 10 years, Derek replied. My father stepped down when his health started failing, and I took over. Do you like it running the company? Derek considered the question. No one had asked him that in years. Everyone just assumed he loved the power and prestige. Sometimes, he said honestly, I like solving problems, creating jobs, but the politics, the constant pressure, he shook his head. Those I could do without. What would you do instead? Alina asked, genuinely curious. If you could do anything again. Derek was struck by how long it had been since someone had asked him about himself, his real self, not his business persona. I always wanted to design buildings, he admitted. I studied architecture in college before switching to business when my father got sick. Alina looked surprised. You don't seem like the artistic type. No. Derek smiled. What type do I seem like? The serious, all business type. The kind who never lets his guard down. Until tonight, when I'm dusting bookshelves in tuxedo? Alina laughed, the sound warm and genuine. Until tonight, she agreed. By the time they finished, it was nearly 1 a.m. Alina looked at her watch and sighed. I should get home. My grandmother wakes up early, and I need to give her medication before I leave for my other job. Let me drive. You, Derek offered. The car service I want to, he interrupted. Please. Alina studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Let me change. First. When she returned from the employee locker room, she was wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater that brought out the warmth in her dark skin. Her hair was down now, cascading and soft, curls past her shoulders. Derek found himself staring, struck by how beautiful she was outside of her work uniform. Ready? She asked, seeming self-conscious under his gaze. The drive to South Side was different this time. They talked easily about books they'd read, places they'd like to visit, even sharing childhood stories. Alina told him about growing up with her grandmother after her parents died, about her dream of opening a small bookstore cafe one day. That's why I'm getting my business degree, she explained. slow and steady taking classes when I can afford them. How much longer until you finish? Derek asked. At this rate? Alina sighed. Another 4 years probably, maybe more if. Grandma needs more care. When they reached her apartment building, Derek again insisted on walking her to the door. You don't have to keep doing this, she said as they climbed the steps. I know, he replied simply. At her door, Alina turned to face him. Thank you for the ride and for, she gestured vaguely. For helping tonight, it was unexpected. I enjoyed it, Derek said, surprised. To realize it was true, he'd had more fun dusting shelves with Alina than he'd had at any society function in years. They stood there awkwardly for a moment, neither sure what to say next. Finally, Derek cleared his throat. Would you like to have dinner sometime? He asked. Maybe this weekend. Alina's eyes widened. Dinner with you? Yes, with me? Derek said, suddenly feeling nervous, in a way he hadn't since he was a teenager. Unless you don't want to. It's not that, Alina said quickly. It's just we're from different worlds, Derek. Very different worlds. Maybe that's a good thing, he suggested. Maybe we both need to see different worlds. Alina bit her lip considering. I have Sundays off, she said finally, but nothing fancy. I don't own anything fancy, Derek smiled, feeling ridiculously pleased. Sunday it is, and we'll go somewhere where the food matters more than the dress code. As he turned to leave, Alina called after him, Derek, this is crazy. You know that, right? He looked back at her. Maybe, but it doesn't feel crazy. It feels right. With that, he headed back to his car, unaware that across the street, someone was watching. A man in a dark sedan lowered a camera after snapping several photos of Derek Hale, Billionaire CEO, standing on the doorstep of a rundown Southside apartment building with a beautiful young black woman. By morning, those photos would be on the desk of Sabrina Hale, who had always made it her business to know everything about her brother's life, especially when he was acting strangely. Back in his penthouse, Derek couldn't sleep. His mind kept returning to Alina, to her laugh, to the way she'd shown him how to dust properly, to the story she'd told him about her life. For the first time in years, he felt truly awake, as if he'd been moving through his life half asleep until now. Sunday couldn't come fast enough. The next morning, Derek was in his home office reviewing reports when his doorbell rang. Frowning, he went to answer it, surprised to find his sister standing there. It's not even 9 yet, he said as she brushed past him into the apartment. What are you doing? Here. Sabrina said nothing, just walked to his living room and tossed a manila envelope onto the coffee table. What's this? Derek asked, picking it up. Open it, Sabrina said, arms crossed. Inside were photographs of him and Alina standing on her doorstep the night before, talking and smiling at each other. Derek looked up sharply. You had me followed. I had you protected, Sabrina corrected. When my brother starts acting strange and disappearing from major events to go to the office at midnight, I get concerned. So you spied on me? Derek said, his voice hard. Who is she, Nate? Sabrina asked, ignoring his anger. And please don't tell me she's just an employee. Derek sat down, the photo still in his hand. Her name is Alina Brooks. She works for the cleaning service. And no, she's not just anything. Sabrina sat across from him, her expression softening slightly. This is about more than helping an employee get home safely, isn't it? I don't know what it is yet, Derek admitted, but I want to find out, Nate. Sabrina said gently. You know how this looks, right? The wealthy white CEO pursuing a black cleaning lady who works for him. The press would have a field day. The board would question your judgment. I'm not pursuing her, Derek said defensively. We're having dinner as friends. Friends, Sabrina repeated skeptically. The way you were looking at her in these photos doesn't say friends to me. Derek stood up, anger rising in him. I don't care how it looks. For once in my life, I've met someone who doesn't care about my money or my position. Someone real. And what does she care about? Sabrina challenged. Have you considered that? What could a woman like her possibly want from a man like you? A woman like her? Derek repeated coldly. What exactly do you mean by that, Sabrina? Sabrina had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. You know what I mean? Someone from a completely different background, different social circle, different everything. Maybe that's exactly what I need, Derek said quietly. Someone different. Because everything in my world, our world, feels fake and empty. Sabrina stared at her brother for a long moment, then sighed. You really like her? It wasn't a question, but Derek nodded anyway. Just be careful, Sabrina warned, standing to leave. Not everyone is as accepting as I am. Mother would have a fit if she saw these photos. Then make sure she doesn't, Derek said firmly. After Sabrina left, Derek stood at his window looking out over the city. In one direction lay downtown Chicago with its gleaming towers of wealth and power. In the other, South Side, where Alina was probably at her coffee shop job right now. Two different worlds. But maybe, just maybe, there was room for a connection between them. What Derek didn't know was that at that very moment, Alina was being fired from her coffee shop job because she had missed her shift that morning, having overslept after their late night together. And as she walked home in the cold morning air, tears of frustration stinging her eyes, Alina found herself wondering if meeting Derek Hale was the best thing that had ever happened to her, or the worst mistake of her life. Alina climbed the stairs to her apartment, each step heavier than the last. Losing her coffee shop job was a disaster. How would she pay for her grandmother's medication now? The cleaning job alone wouldn't cover their expenses. When she opened the door, she found her grandmother, Loretta, sitting in her wheelchair by the window. You're home early, Loretta said, her voice soft, but her mind still sharp despite her illness. Everything okay, baby? Alina forced a smile. Just a schedule change. She couldn't bear to worry her grandmother with the truth. How are you feeling today? Had better days, had worse, Loretta replied, studying her granddaughter carefully. Something's bothering you, I can tell. Alina sighed as she knelt beside the wheelchair. They let me go at the coffee shop. Said they needed someone more reliable. Loretta reached out a trembling hand to touch Alina's cheek. Because you were late. I overslept, Alina admitted. I got home late last night. The buses again? Alina hesitated. No, actually, I got a ride home. Loretta raised an eyebrow. A ride from who? Just someone from work. Alina busied herself adjusting Loretta's blanket. Alina Brooks, I raised you better than to lie to your grandmother. Loretta scolded gently. Who gave you a ride that's got you so flustered? Alina looked up into the wise eyes that had watched over her since childhood. His name is Derek. Derek Hale. Loretta's eyes widened. The Kingston? The man who owns the building you clean? He doesn't exactly own the building, Alina said, but nodded. But yes, that Derek Hale. Lord have mercy, Loretta murmured. And how did a man like that come to be giving my granddaughter rides home? Alina explained about finding her asleep in the bathroom, the late night cleaning together, and the dinner invitation for Sunday. Loretta listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When Alina finished, she asked, And what do you think of this man? He's different than I expected, Alina said slowly. Not just some rich guy. He seems lonely despite having everything, and he's interested in you. It wasn't a question, but Alina nodded anyway. I think so, but Grandma, it's crazy, right? Someone like him and someone like me. Loretta chuckled. Child, when I was young, a white man and a black woman. Couldn't even eat at the same restaurant in some places. Times change, but people's hearts, that's what you need to worry about. Is his heart good? I think so, Alina said, but I barely know him. Well, Sunday dinner should help with that, Loretta said practically. And now about this job situation. I'll find something else, Alina insisted. I'll start looking today. There's that new restaurant that opened on Bedford Avenue, Loretta suggested. I heard they're hiring waitstaff. Alina nodded, already making plans in her head. She could apply there today. Maybe check the community college for tutoring jobs, too. Don't worry, Grandma. We'll be fine. We always are, Loretta said with a smile. The Walker women are survivors. Across town, Derek sat in his office, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. He couldn't stop thinking about Alina, about their dinner plans for Sunday. Where should he take her? She'd said nothing fancy, but he wanted it to be special. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called. Margaret, his assistant, entered with a stack of files. The quarterly reports you asked for, Mr. Kingston? She placed them on his desk. And your mother called again. She said, it's important. Derek suppressed a groan. His mother had likely heard from Sabrina about his early departure from the gala. Thank you, Margaret. Anything else? Margaret hesitated. The head of the cleaning service called. There's been a complaint. Derek looked up sharply. What kind of complaint? About you, sir. Apparently. You were seen helping one of the cleaners last night. They're concerned about liability issues. Derek felt a flash of anger. Call them back. Tell them there's no liability issue because I'm adding a clause to their contract that explicitly allows me to clean my own damn building if I want to. Margaret blinked in surprise. Yes, sir. And Margaret, if anyone else calls with concerns about what I do in my own building, tell them to address those concerns to me directly. After Margaret left, Derek picked up his phone and dialed his mother's number. Better to get it over with. Derek, darling, Margot Hale answered, her voice dripping with forced sweetness. I was beginning to think you were avoiding me. I've been busy, Mother. What can I do for you? You can explain why you disappeared from the gala before the Blackwells arrived, she said, dropping the pretense. It was incredibly rude. I had work to do, Derek said flatly. Work? Margot repeated. Sabrina seems to think it was something else, or should I say someone else? Derek silently cursed his sister. My personal life is my business. Mother, not when it affects the family reputation. Margot countered. Kingston Enterprises is a legacy. Derek, your father built it from nothing, and now you're risking everything for what? Some passing. Infatuation. This conversation is over, Derek said coldly. I'm hosting Sunday dinner. This weekend. Margot continued as if he hadn't spoken. I expect you to be there. The Reynoldses are coming, and Catherine has specifically asked if you'll be attending. Derek closed his eyes, tension building in his temples. I have plans on Sunday. Cancel them, Margot said firmly. No, Derek replied, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. I said I have plans, and I'm keeping them. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I see, Margot finally said, her voice ice cold. Well, when you're ready to remember your responsibilities to this family and this company, you know where to find me. The line went dead. Derek put down his phone, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down on him as it had for most of his life. But for once, he didn't care. Sunday was for Alina, and nothing, not his mother, not the board, not anyone was going to change that. The rest of the week passed in a blur. Derek found himself working late every night, always timing it. So he would run into Alina. They would talk while she cleaned, sometimes for just a few minutes, sometimes for an hour or more. He learned that she had lost her coffee shop job and felt a stab of guilt, knowing it was because of their late night together. Let me help you. Find something else, he offered. I don't need charity, Alina said firmly. I've already applied at 3 places. Something will come through. Derek admired her independence, even as he wished she would let him help. But he understood her pride. It was part of what drew him to her. By Sunday, Derek was a bundle of nerves. He changed his outfit 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt. Casual but nice. Hopefully not intimidating. He'd chosen a small Italian restaurant in Evanston Village, owned by a family he knew personally. It was upscale enough to be special, but casual enough that Alina wouldn't feel out of place. When he arrived at her apartment to pick her up, he brought a small pot of violets for her grandmother instead of flowers for Alina, a detail he carefully considered after learning how much Loretta loved plants. Alina opened the door, wearing a simple blue dress that made her eyes sparkle. Her hair was down, falling in soft curls around her shoulders, and she wore minimal makeup that highlighted her natural beauty. "You look beautiful," Derek said, momentarily at a loss for words. Alina smiled, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "Thank you. You look nice, too. Very normal." Derek laughed. "I'm taking that as a compliment." "It is," she assured him. "Come in for a minute. Grandma wants to meet you." Derek followed her inside, suddenly nervous again. The apartment was small, but immaculately clean with worn but well-aired for furniture. Family photos lined the walls, and the scent of cinnamon hung in the air. Loretta Walker sat in her wheelchair in the living room, back straight, eyes sharp, as she assessed the billionaire standing in her modest home. "So, you're the man who's been keeping my granddaughter out late," she said without preamble. "Grandma!" Alina exclaimed, embarrassed. "It's all right," Derek said, stepping forward to offer the violets. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Walker. I've heard wonderful things about you." Loretta's stern expression softened as she took the plant. "Violets, my favorite. Alina told you." She mentioned it, Derek confirmed. "I thought you might enjoy them." Loretta studied him for a long moment. "Sit down, Mr. Kingston. Just for a minute." Derek glanced at Alina, who nodded slightly, then took a seat on the couch across from Loretta. "My granddaughter tells me you're a busy man with a big company," Loretta began. "So I have to wonder why you're interested in spending time with her." "Grandma, please," Alina said, mortified. "It's a fair question," Derek said. "The truth is, Mrs. Walker, your granddaughter is the most genuine person I've met in a very long time. In my world, people usually want something from me. My money, my influence, my name. Alina doesn't care about any of that. And what do you want from her?" Loretta asked bluntly. Derek met her gaze steadily. "Just her company, the chance to know her better." Loretta nodded slowly. "All right, then, you too. Go on and enjoy your dinner." "But Mr. Kingston?" "Yes, ma'am. My granddaughter has worked hard her whole life. She's had to, and she's got dreams that don't have anything to do with a man. Any man. Remember that." "I will," Derek promised. Outside, Alina shook her head in embarrassment. "I'm so sorry." She's usually not so direct. "Don't be sorry," Derek said as he opened the car door for her. "She loves you and wants to protect you. I respect that." The restaurant was everything Derek had hoped. Intimate without being intimidating, with delicious food and a relaxed atmosphere. They talked for hours, sharing stories from their lives, discovering common interests in books and old movies, laughing more than either had in a long time. "Tell me about your dream," Derek said as they shared a tiramisu for dessert. "The bookstore cafe." Alina's eyes lit up. "It would be small but cozy. Bookshelves along the walls, comfortable chairs where people could sit and read. A cafe, counter in the back serving coffee and pastries. Maybe live music on weekends, local artists, you know." "It sounds perfect," Derek said, captivated by her enthusiasm. "It's just a dream," Alina said with a shrug. "But someday when I finish my degree, when Grandma's care is taken care of." She trailed off and smiled. "Enough about my impossible dreams. Tell me something I don't know about Derek Hale." "I write poetry," he admitted, then immediately felt foolish. Terrible poetry, but still. Alina laughed in delight. "Really? I would never have guessed. I started in college just as a way to process things when my father got sick. I haven't shown anyone else." "Would you show me sometime?" Alina asked, the vulnerability in her question touched. Him. I'd like that. After dinner, they walked through the village, talking and laughing. Neither wanted the evening to end. When they finally returned to Alina's apartment, Derek walked her to the door as had become their custom. Thank you for the night, Alina said softly. I had a wonderful time. So did I, Derek replied. Can I see you again? Alina looked up at him, her expression serious. Derek, I need to be honest with you. I like you more than I expected to, but our worlds are so different. I'm worried that what he prompted when she paused. That one of us is going to get hurt when reality sets in. You're Derek Hale. I'm a cleaning lady and part-time student with a sick grandmother to support. Derek took her hand gently. I know exactly who you are, Alina, and I'm not worried about our different worlds. I'm more interested in the world we create when we're together. He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. Instead, she raised her face to his, and their lips met in a soft, sweet kiss that sent warmth spreading through both of them. When they broke apart, Alina's eyes remained closed for a moment, as if savoring the feeling. Good night, Derek, she whispered. Good night, Alina. As he drove home, Derek felt happier than he had in years, but his happiness was short-lived. When he arrived at his penthouse, he found Sabrina waiting for him, her expression grave. What is it? He asked, immediately alert. Is it Father? No, Father's fine, Sabrina assured him, but we have a problem. She handed him a tablet. On the screen was a gossip blog with a headline, Kingston heir slumming it, Billionaire, CEO caught romancing cleaning lady. Below were photos of him and Alina at her apartment walking into the restaurant. Even their kiss from just moments ago. How did they get these? Derek demanded, anger rising in him. Someone's been following you, Sabrina said, and before you accuse me, it wasn't my people. This is mothering all over it, Derek felt. Sick. She wouldn't. She would. Sabrina interrupted, and she did. She's determined to break this up before it goes any further. Derek set the tablet down, his mind racing. This could. Her Alina. She didn't ask for this attention. It gets worse. Sabrina said quietly, Mother has been making calls. She found out your Alina lost her coffee shop job recently. How is that worse? Derek asked, confused. Because Mother convinced the owner of the cleaning service to fire her, too. Derek stared at his sister in shock. She did what? Effective. Tomorrow, Alina is unemployed. Sabrina confirmed. Mother's message is clear. End this relationship, or she'll make Alina's life impossible. Derek felt rage building inside him. She can't do this. She already has. Sabrina said gently, and you know, Mother, this is just the beginning. Derek grabbed his keys. I have to warn Alina. Nate, wait. Sabrina called after him. Think about this. Maybe Mother's right. Not about her methods, but about the reality of the situation. Your world and Alina's are completely different. I don't care, Derek said firmly. For the first time in my life, I've found someone who makes me feel alive. I'm not giving that up because it doesn't fit into Mother's perfect plan for the Kingston dynasty. As he rushed back to South Side, Derek didn't notice the black sedan that pulled out behind him, following at a discreet distance. When he reached Alina's building, he ran up the steps and knocked urgently. It was late 11 o'clock, but he had to warn her. Alina opened the door in pajama pants and a t-shirt, her hair tied back. When she saw his expression, her smile faded. What's wrong? May I come in? He asked. Inside, Derek explained about the gossip blog and his mother's interference with her job. As he spoke, Alina's expression changed from shock to hurt to anger. She had me fired, she asked in disbelief. How could she do that? My mother believes she's protecting our family name, Derek said bitterly. She doesn't understand. No, I think she understands perfectly. Alina interrupted. She understands that I'm not the kind of woman she wants for her son. I don't care what she wants. Derek insisted, taking Alina's hands. It's what I want that matters. And I want you. Alina pulled her hands away. But don't you see? This is exactly what I was afraid of. One dinner, one kiss, and already my life is falling apart. I need those jobs, Derek. I have bills to pay, medication to buy. I can help. No, Alina said firmly. I told you I don't want your charity. It's not charity, Derek protested. It's what? Love? Alina shook her head. We barely know each other. Loretta wheeled herself into the room, her expression concerned. What's going on? I heard raised voices. Alina quickly explained the situation. Loretta's face hardened as she listened. So, this woman thinks she can control who her son sees by destroying my granddaughter's livelihood. Loretta said, her voice deceptively calm. I've seen this kind of thing before, Mr. Kingston. The rich and powerful thinking they can step on anyone who gets in their way. I'm not like that, Derek said, desperate for them to understand. And I won't let my mother get away with this. How are you going to stop her? Alina asked. She's your mother, and clearly she has resources and isn't afraid to use them. Derek straightened his shoulders, a plan forming in his mind. I'm Derek Hale, CEO of Kingston Enterprises. I have resources too, and it's time I use them. What are you going to do? Alina asked, looking worried. First, I'm going to make sure you don't suffer because of me, Derek said. I'm not offering charity. Alina, I'm offering justice. My mother created this problem, and I'm going to fix it. And then what? Loretta asked, studying him carefully. Derek met her gaze. Then I'm going to make it very clear to my mother and anyone else who's interested that my personal life is my own and I choose to share it with Alina if she'll have me. He turned to Alina, whose eyes were filled with uncertainty. I know this isn't what you signed up for. If you want to walk away, I'll understand, but I'm asking you to trust me, to give us a chance despite everything. Alina was silent for a long moment, looking from Derek to her grandmother and back again. I need time to think, she finally said. Derek nodded, his heart heavy. I understand, but whatever you decide, I'm going to fix this. You have my word. As he turned to leave, Loretta called after him. Mr. Kingston. He looked back. Your mother. She's trying to protect what she values most, her family, her legacy. Remember that when you confront her. Derek nodded, understanding the wisdom in her words. I will, Mrs. Walker. Thank you. Outside, the night air was cold against his face. As he walked to his car, Derek felt a resolve hardening inside him. His whole life he had followed the path laid out for him. The beautiful son, the responsible CEO, the perfect heir to the Kingston name. But now, for the first time, he was ready to forge his own path. And if that meant going to war with his own mother, then so be it. What he didn't know was that Margot Kingston was already several steps ahead of him, and her next move would test not only his resolve, but Alina's as well. The Kingston mansion stood on 5 manicured acres in Evanston, Connecticut, its Georgian columns and perfect symmetry, a testament to old money and established power. Derek parked his car in the circular driveway and sat for a moment, gathering his resolve. It had been 2 days since he'd last seen Alina. 2 days of unanswered texts and calls. 2 days of wondering if she decided their worlds were too different after all. But regardless of her decision, he owed her this much too. Confront his mother and undo the damage she'd caused. The housekeeper, Mrs. Winters, opened the door with a warm smile. She'd been with the family since Derek was a child and was one of the few people who saw past the Kingston name to the actual people behind it. She's in the carry-em, Mr. Derek, Mrs. Winters said, taking his coat. With Mr. Reynolds and his daughter, Derek frowned. Of course, his mother would have Catherine there. Another attempt at matchmaking. Another piece in her grand plan for his life. He found them having tea. Margot Hale looking elegant as always in a pale blue suit, while Catherine Reynolds sat close by in a designer dress that probably cost more than Alina made in 3 months. Derek, darling, Margot said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. What a lovely surprise. You know Catherine? Of course. Hello, Derek. Catherine purred, standing to kiss his cheek. I was just telling your mother about the charity committee I'm chairing. We'd love to have Kingston Enterprises as our primary sponsor. Derek stepped back, ignoring her greeting. Mother, we need to talk privately. Margot's smile tightened. Catherine, would you excuse us? Perhaps Mrs. Winters can show you the gardens. Once Catherine had left, Margot's pleasant facade dropped. If this is about that cleaning woman, her name is Alina, Derek said coldly. And yes, this is about her. More specifically about how you had her fired. And drag her name through the gossip blogs. Margot sipped her tea calmly. I did what was necessary to protect this. Family. Protect us from what exactly? From me being happy. From scandal? Margot corrected. From you throwing away everything your father built for a passing infatuation with a woman who is clearly after your money. Derek laughed bitterly. You don't know her at all. Alina has refused every offer of help I've made. She works 2 jobs to support her sick grandmother and put herself through school. She has more integrity in her little finger than most of the people in our social circle have in their entire bodies. She's a smart girl, then Margot acknowledged, playing the long game. But make no mistake, Derek, women like that always have an angle. Women like what, mother? Derek challenged. Black women, working class women. Margot looked affronted. Don't put words in my mouth. This isn't about race. It's about suitability. The Kingstons have a certain position to maintain. I don't care about position. I care about Alina, and you've hurt her. I've protected you, Margot insisted. One day you'll thank me. Derek shook his head, a deep sadness settling over him. You know what, mother? For years, I've tried to be the son you and father wanted. I gave up my dreams of architecture to run the company. I went to all the right parties, dated all the right women, sat on all the right boards. I did everything you asked. And do you know what it got me? A life so empty that when I found a woman sleeping in a bathroom because she was too exhausted to stay awake between jobs, I envied her. Envied her? Margot repeated, incredulous. A cleaning woman? Yes, Derek said simply, because despite having so little, she has what matters. Real relationships, real purpose, real feelings. Not this. He gestured around the perfect solarium. This performance we call life. Margot stood, her composure cracking slightly. You're being ridiculous and ungrateful. Everything your father and I did was for you and Sabrina to give you the best life possible. No, Derek said. The truth finally cleared to him. It was to give yourselves the best life possible with perfect children who never embarrass you at the country club. How dare you, Margot began, but Derek cut her off. I'm not finished. You had Alina fired. I'm going to fix that. I've already spoken to the cleaning service. They're rehiring her with a promotion and a raise, and if they hadn't agreed, I would have bought the company and done it myself. Margot's eyes widened. You wouldn't. I would. I am the CEO of Kingston Enterprises, after all. And speaking of that, Derek pulled out his phone and showed her an email he drafted. This is a press release announcing my personal donation of $1 million to a scholarship fund for working adults completing their education. The first recipient, Alina Brooks. You can't do this, Margot said, her voice rising. I already have, Derek replied calmly. The board approved it this morning. They did. Turns out a CEO who shows compassion and commitment to education is good for the company image better than one who fires cleaning staff because his mother disapproves of them. Margot sank back into her chair, momentarily defeated. And what about us? Your family? Does that mean nothing to you? Derek's expression softened slightly. It means everything to me. That's why I'm here talking to you, instead of simply issuing The press release without warning. I want you to understand something. Mother, I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing it because for the first time in my adult life, I know what I want. And what I want is a chance with Alina. And if I can't accept that, Margot asked quietly, then that's your choice, Derek said. But it won't change mine. As he turned to leave, Margot called after him, her voice suddenly sounding older, more vulnerable. Your father will be disappointed. Derek paused at the door. I don't think so, he said without turning around. Dad always told me to recognize value when I saw it. Alina is valuable, Mother. I just wish you could see that. He walked out, leaving Margot Hale alone with her tea and her thoughts. In Southside, Alina sat on the worn couch in her apartment, surrounded by job applications. She'd spent the past 2 days in a fog, filling out form after form, making call after call. So far, nothing. Her phone buzzed with another text from Derek, his 5th today. Like the others, she didn't answer it. What was there to say? He lived in a world where people could have others fired on a whim. A world of $1 million apartments and private drivers and mothers who thought people like her weren't good enough. And yet, she missed him, missed his laugh, his genuine interest in her life, the way he'd looked at her like she was the most fascinating person he'd ever met. Still ignoring him, Loretta asked from her wheelchair. Alina sighed. It's for the best, Grandma. Is it? Ella Laner wheeled closer. The man came here in the middle of the night to warn you, to promise he'd fix things. He can't fix the fact that we're from different worlds, Alina said, gathering up her applications. Different worlds? Loretta scoffed. When I was young, I wasn't allowed to drink from the same water fountain as a white person. That was different worlds. You and this man, that's just different neighborhoods. Alina looked up, surprised by her grandmother's words. You think I should give him a chance? I think you already care about him, Loretta said gently and running away. Because you're scared isn't the Alina. Walker I raised. Before Lena could respond, there was a knock at the door. Probably another delivery from Derek. He'd been sending food, flowers, books, anything to show he was thinking of her. But when she opened the door, it wasn't delivery person. It was Sabrina Hale. Alina stood frozen, taking the elegant woman with Derek's eyes and a much colder expression. Miss Walker, Sabrina said, may I come in? We need to talk. Alina hesitated, then stepped aside. Of course. Sabrina entered, her designer handbag and tailored suit looking out of place in the modest apartment. She nodded politely to Elenina. Mrs. Walker, I presume. I'm Sabrina Hale, Derek's sister. I figured, Loretta said, eyeing her wearily. Come to finish what your mother started. Sabrina had the grace to look embarrassed. Actually, I've come to apologize for my mother's behavior and to talk some sense into your granddaughter. Me? Alina asked, confused. Yes, you, Sabrina said, turning to face her. Do you have any idea what my brother has been doing for the past 2 days? He's taken on our mother, something no one does. Create a scholarship in your name, guaranteed. Your job back with promotion. And generally been so lovesick that his assistant called me worried he was having a breakdown. Alina blinked, trying to process this information. He did all that? He did? Sabrina, confirmed. And you've been ignoring his calls. I needed time to think. Alina said defensively. Well, think faster, Sabrina advised, but her tone had softened. Look, I was skeptical about you at first. I thought you might be after his money, his status. But then I saw the photos. Photos? Loretta asked. Sabrina pulled out her phone and showed them the pictures from the gossip blog. Derek and Alina walking, talking, laughing. Look at his face. Sabrina said softly, I haven't seen my brother look like that ever. Not with any of the socialites or models or business women our mother has thrown at him over the years. Just with you? Alina stared at the photos at the open, joyful expression on Derek's face as he looked at her. But your mother is a Snob. Sabrina finished for her. A well-intentioned one, but a snob. Nonetheless, she thinks she knows what's best for everyone, especially her children. But she doesn't. Not this time. So, why are you here? Alina asked. Why do you care? Sabrina sighed, her polished exterior cracking slightly. Because I love my brother. And somehow, against all odds and social conventions, you make him happy. Genuinely happy? Maybe for the first time in his adult life. Loretta wheeled forward. That's all well and good, but your family has cost my granddaughter both her jobs. Kind words don't pay the bills. I understand that, Sabrina said, looking from Loretta to Alina, which is why I'm here with a proposition. I don't want charity, Alina said quickly. Not charity, Sabrina corrected. An opportunity. The Kingston Foundation funds several community programs, including a bookstore literacy project in underprivileged neighborhoods. We need someone to manage the South Side location, someone with a business background who understands the community. The position comes with a full scholarship to complete your business degree. Alina stared at her speechless. This isn't coming from Derek, Sabrina added. He doesn't even know I'm here. This is coming from me as the head of the foundation. You're qualified and we need someone. Whether you decide to see my brother again or not, the job offer stands. Loretta studied Sabrina carefully. That's quite generous here. It's not generosity, it's practicality, Sabrina replied. I reviewed Miss Walker's resume. Yes, I did my homework. She's exactly what the program needs. Alina's mind was spinning. A job managing a bookstore, a scholarship. It was like a dream too good to be true. I need to think about it, she said. Finally, Sabrina nodded and handed her a business card. Of course. Call me when you decide. She moved toward the door, then paused. And Alina, if you do care about my brother, call him. He's miserable without you. After Sabrina left, Alina sat beside her grandmother, turning the business card over in her hands. What do you think, Grandma? Loretta took her granddaughter's hand. I think sometimes blessings come in strange packages. And I think that man cares about you enough to fight his own mother for you. Alina smiled slightly. He does, doesn't he? The question is, Loretta said gently, do you care enough about him to fight for him too? Across town, Derek sat in his office, staring out at the city lights. It was late, past 9, but he couldn't bring himself to go home to his empty penthouse. Not when his thoughts were full of Alina. Maybe she had decided it was too much. The scandal, his mother's interference, the gossip. Maybe she was right, and their worlds were too different to bridge. His office phone rang, startling him. At this hour, it could only be an emergency. Kingston, he answered. Mr. Kingston, this is security. There's a woman here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she insists it's important. Derek's heart leapt. What's her name? Alina. Walk her, sir. Send her up right away. Derek paced the office, straightening his tie, running a hand through his hair. When the elevator dinged, he stopped, watching the doors slide open. And there she was in jeans and a simple sweater, her hair tied back, her eyes uncertain but determined. Alina, he said, relief flooding through him. Your sister came to see me, she said without preamble. Derek frowned. She did? I didn't know. She offered me a job managing a bookstore for your foundation. I swear I had. Nothing to do with that, Derek began, but Alina held up her hand. I know, she told me. She also told me what you've been doing. Fighting. Your mother creating a scholarship, getting my job back. Derek stepped closer. I promised I would fix it. You did? Alina acknowledged. But that's not why. I'm here. Then why are you here? Derek asked softly. Alina took a deep breath. I kept telling myself our worlds were too different, that someone like you and someone like me couldn't possibly work, that it was better to end it before either of us got hurt. And now, Derek prompted when she paused. And now I realize I was just scared, Alina admitted. Not of your mother or the gossip or the differences. I was scared of how much I already care about you after such a short time. Derek's heart soared. He moved forward, taking her hands in his. I care about you too more than I thought possible. What about your mother? Alina asked. Your family? My mother will come around eventually, Derek said. And if she doesn't, that's her loss. As for family, he smiled. I quite like your grandmother. She seems like enough family for both of us. Alina laughed, the sound like music to his ears. She likes you too, though she never admitted. And the job, Sabrina offered, Derek asked. Will you take it? Alina nodded. Yes, it's an amazing opportunity, and it's something I would have wanted even if I'd never met you. That's what matters. Derek said, that you're doing it for yourself, not for me. There is one condition, though, Alina said, her expression turning serious. What's that? No special treatment. If I'm going to work for your family's foundation, I need to know I earned it on my own merits. Derek nodded. Agreed. Sabrina runs a foundation like her own kingdom anyway. She'd never listen to me, even if I tried to interfere. Alina smiled, then reached up to touch his face gently. There's one more thing. Anything, Derek said, leaning into her touch. I need you to. Kiss me, Alina whispered. Right now. Derek didn't need to be asked twice. He pulled her close, his lips finding hers in a kiss that felt like coming home. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. So what happens now? Alina asked. Now, Derek said, we figure out together one day at a time. 3 months later, the Kingston family gathered for their annual summer gala. To everyone's surprise, Margot Hale had insisted that Alina be invited, not just as Derek's guest, but as an honored contributor to the Kingston Foundation's literacy program, which was already showing impressive results under her management. As Alina stood in a simple but elegant gown, discussing education initiatives with the mayor, Derek watched her from across the room, his heart full of pride and love. She's good, Sabrina said, appearing at his side. Mother actually complimented her earlier. I nearly fainted. Derek chuckled. Alina has that effect on people. Once they get to know her, they can't help but love her. Speaking of love, Sabrina said, eyeing the small box in his jacket pocket that he'd been touching nervously all evening. Is it that obvious? Derek asked. Only to someone who knows you as well as I do, Sabrina assured him. Does she have any idea? Derek shook his head. No, I wanted to be a surprise. Well, for what it's worth, Sabrina said, squeezing his arm. I think she'll say yes. Across the room, Loretta watched from her wheelchair as her granddaughter captivated the crowd. Beside her, surprisingly, sat Margot Hale. Your granddaughter is quite impressive, Margot admitted. The literacy rates at her center have improved dramatically. She's always been smart, Loretta said proudly. Just needed a chance to show it. Margot nodded, a hint of humility in her expression. I may have been hasty in my judgment. You were protecting your son, Ella Lehner acknowledged. I understand that. I'd have done the same. For Alina, the two women shared a look of mutual respect. Not quite friendship, but a beginning. Later that night, Derek and Alina walked to the gardens of the Kingston estate, the moon casting silver light on the roses and fountains. Happy? Derek asked, his arm around her waist. Very, Alina replied, leaning into him. Though I think your mother nearly strained something trying to be nice to Grandma. Derek laughed. They'll get there eventually. Eleanor is hard not to like her granddaughter. Alina teased. Exactly, like her granddaughter, Derek agreed, stopping by a stone bench overlooking the garden central fountain. Alina, there's something I want to ask you. He took both her hands. In his expression serious, yet full of love. These past months with you have been the happiest of my life. You've Show me what really matters. Not money or status or power, but connection, purpose, love. Alina's eyes widened as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. I know it hasn't been that long, Derek continued, dropping to one knee. But when you know, you know. And I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He opened the box, revealing a ring with a simple, elegant diamond. Alina Brooks, will you marry me? Tears filled Alina's eyes as she looked down at the man before her. Not Derek Hale, Billionaire CEO, but just Derek, the man who had helped her clean floors, who had fought for her, who had seen her for who she truly was. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I will, as he slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms. Neither of them noticed the figures watching from the terrace. Sabrina with a smile, Loretta with tears of joy, and Margot with a slowly dawning acceptance. Two worlds had collided that night in the executive bathroom of Kingston Enterprises, and against all odds, they had created something beautiful, a new world built on love, respect, and the courage to see beyond the surface to the heart that beats. Beneath, 6 months later, Alina stood in the bridal suite of a small, elegant venue, her grandmother beside her. Her dress was simple but stunning, Loretta's vintage pearl necklace around her neck. Oh, your parents will be so proud, Loretta said, adjusting the necklace. So am I. Do you think we're doing the right thing? Alina asked, suddenly nervous. It all happened so fast. Loretta took her granddaughters. Hands. Love doesn't check. A calendar child. When it's right, it's right. Hey, knock at the door announced Sabrina, elegant in her maid of honor dress. Ready? She asked with a smile. My brother is out there looking like he might faint from happiness. Alina took a deep breath and nodded. I'm ready. As she walked down the aisle toward Derek, past their gathered friends and family, from corporate executives to the cleaning staff who would become her friends, Alina felt a sense of completion. Their journey had begun, in the most unexpected place, but it had led them exactly where they were meant to be. And when they exchanged their vows, making promises of love and commitment, it didn't matter that one had been born to wealth and the other to struggle. What mattered was that they had found each other, seen each other, and chosen to build a life together, a life richer than either could have imagined alone. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the minister declared. You may kiss the bride. As Derek took Alina in his arms, sealing their vows with a kiss, the guests erupted in applause. Even Margot Hale dabbed at her eyes, while Loretta Walker beamed with pride. Two families once worlds apart, now joined as one. Two lives forever, changed by a chance encounter in the most unexpected place. And that, after all, is how the best love stories begin. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So, do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next.